Good morning. Good morning. How we all doing? All right, we are on HL in the AM Monday morning.
Oh, there we go. All right, I'm here now. Yeah, okay. Good morning, beautiful people. What's up, Byron?
What's going on, man?
Grand Rising Kings and Queens. How y'all? I hope everybody had a great weekend. I'm gonna say how y'all doing. They're gonna be able to answer me. But yo, first and foremost, that whoever that Sophia 9700 is that's in our Mixcloud chat, we don't do that on these parts. You need to take that somewhere else. It's advertising. I ain't gonna say what she's doing, but I ain't gonna say what she's advertising because it's not relevant. But I'm gonna put advertisements in my chat. You better go on somewhere with that. Ah, man. It's such a beautiful morning though, man.
Yeah.
Except for Team USA. Boys took a L.
Man. World champions. Called themselves world champions.
Yo, they
can't beat the rest of the world.
They can't beat the Frenchies.
They
lost to the Frenchies.
Who's on the? I
Yo,
missed
honestly,
it, and I wanted to catch it. I know they got Gobert probably.
Look, yeah, they got Gobert and they got Evan Fournier. I think they got a couple other Frenchies. But I'm gonna tell you this, and this is what I'm thinking, man. Like when you become so conditioned to play against super teams. I'm talking about all the other countries,
mm-hmm.
and then. Now, because you're, in your country, it's the Olympics, you get to form your own super team of all the people in your country. Like, for example, France. They had Fournier, they had Gobert, and some other college players, I believe, and a few other NBA players that were also on the French team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they get the best of the best themselves.
Right. So.
And they're used to playing super teams because that's the culture of the NBA now.
Right.
So now this global game is like, all right, because like America is losing its grip as being the number one basketball country.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if we actually compiled our best of our best, like we did when they had the Redeem team and the Dream team,
mm-hmm.
We'd be walking all over them just like we normally would. But now it's kind of like, they got the best of their best, and we got the best of what was available. Like, we got the best of what wanted to actually do it.
Money.
What do you mean?
I mean, and I don't even mean that in a bad way. It's just often, you know what I mean? It all comes back down to what makes the most money, makes the most sense. What we just see the other day, LeBron James, the first basketball player
to make $1 billion.
To make yeah, exactly. Between his cumulative career earnings and endorsements, make $1 billion. Those are two very valuable legs. He can't go out there and just get those. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those guys, and LeBron has been on many Olympic teams, but I suspect that might have something to do with why some people need to heal, and NBA season 82 games.
Yeah, that's true.
But like you said, I think the NBA has probably just become bitter to their own success. The NBA, better than any other sport, recently has been marketing themselves internationally. You got all these players from Africa, players from China. All that was intentional. If you build up enough African players, that means you also gonna have some African nations that have some great basketball.
Look at Team France. All right, so Team France has 3 NBA players. It was Rudy Gobert, Evan Fournier, and Nicolas Batum.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So and they developed their game in the United States. Like you better. I promise you this. We should be happy that Ben Simmons didn't go play for Australia because he got him. I think. What team is Doncic playing for?
Luka Doncic. He's Slovenian.
So he scored 48 points. They won their game, and Doncic almost scored 48 points in it. So it's going to be that type of. It's gonna be a rough road for Team USA, man.
Right. I think between Americans fighting that long
men's
NBA
basketball,
season,
our women are holding it down.
Oh, same thing in soccer.
Our women, man, our women be holding us down like a mug. We don't never give them credit, but our women be holding us down. Team USA basketball, Team USA soccer, Team USA softball. Those are gonna be the ones that bring home the gold because our men ain't doing nothing.
That's a metaphor.
That's not even a metaphor. That's just it's a simile. just like in the Olympics,
real life.
In real life, our women are holding us down, man. It's not just basketball. It's not just sports. Like whatever we ever needed women to do for us, man, they always got our back. They might cuss us out and talk junk afterwards.
Yeah.
But they're gonna hold us down in the moment.
Right.
Well, now after that moment's passed and we in bed, like, baby, you really looked out for me. You might get you ain't SHIT, or you might get thrown out the bedroom, put on the couch or something. But they will hold you down right then. But yo, I ain't gonna lie, man. It's just something about losing to France that just breaks my heart. How do we lose to France? The croissant eating, wine drinking, cigarette smoking Frenchies. Those are such 80s stereotypes.
But even if you just look at, like, well, even like a team like Cameroon, you're like, how good is Cameroon? But there's only 5 people on the floor at one time, and they can put out Pascal Siakam and Joel Embiid.
Wait, I thought Joel Embiid was from France.
No, he's from Cameroon.
Cameroon. Oh, they playing? Are they in the Olympics?
I'm not sure. But you see the point. Like, these international teams now are just
they're stacked.
decent. Yeah.
They're stacked teams, and now we're going out there with Draymond Green and Zach LaVine.
God bless them, but we put out JaVale McGee.
We got, and the sad part is our team looks good on paper.
That's right. And that's a good point. That's the point. That's what's happening.
Yeah, our team looks great on paper because, look, I don't care what, if you are a starter in the NBA, you should have no problem going over to the Olympics and taking home a gold medal. You shouldn't.
Right.
And they're starters on all these different teams now.
But I think what you just said is the big point, is they're starters on all these teams.
Yeah.
Is if we look at it strictly as a bucket count, who gets 20, who can get 30, but basketball is also a team sport, and internationally they play a game that's almost
more united.
It's more united, and it's almost a mixture between what our NBA game will be and our college game, which has different rules. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like all that baiting and jumping into fouls that James Harden does, they do not allow that in FIBA.
No, they don't.
So you got these guys. Somebody put out a montage the other day of NBA Olympic basketball players jumping into fouls and getting turnovers because they don't allow that at all, and that's a huge part of people's games in NBA.
Yeah, and I think that's a trash part of the game. I ain't gonna lie to you. I always thought jumping into fouls was BS. I tell you like this, man. But it was so many things that were exposed to me watching this game. Number one, our shooting, compared to the other countries, our shooting is subpar at best. Like, at the end of the game, they actually had a few chances to win it, right? I remember at one point, I think they threw up like 5 shots, got all 5 offensive rebounds, but could not hit a jumper. And that's the same reason LeBron lost to the Mavericks back in 2011. They could not. Him, Wade, and Bosh. Like, okay, when you play a zone defense, right? You can't cut to the goal. You got to shoot. You got to shoot over a zone. And if you can't shoot over a zone, they will wear you out. And that's what France did.
I unfortunately didn't catch that game. Did America fall victim to? Because man, I wondered about that. Is America shoots so many threes? The game is so spread out. Did they get beat with a mid-range game?
They got beat. They got beat because they couldn't shoot over the zone.
Gotcha.
What I mean by like okay, so for example, like Kevin Durant wants to drive in, right? So what they do is they back off. Go ahead, shoot. Go ahead, shoot. And if you make it, you got it. But if you miss it, we get the rebound. And that's the kind of game that France was playing. Something like they dared them to shoot.
Right. Well, and another thing is, America, these players are such big commodities that they're playing everywhere. They don't get a lot of time to play together to become teams. Now we were talking about that recently with teams that won that were in the NBA Finals, or even like Golden State. Look at what happens with their runs. As compared to like the Brooklyn Nets, it ain't necessarily just a bucket count that's going to win championships. Teams win championships. In the modern era, there used to be defense win championships in the 90s. Now it's teams win championships. You got to have a cohesive team.
Right. And the thing is, I'll tell you like this, and this is the sad part. For the first time ever that I see in basketball, and I've been watching since the Barcelona Dream Team. So I've been watching the Olympics in basketball every year for 20 years almost, right? The one thing that I have never seen until yesterday was us not having the best player at every position on the court. Like, because we didn't have a center that can mess with a Rudy Gobert.
Right.
We did not have a single. And when have we ever been outmatched? And then like don't get me wrong.
The game shifted. Yeah. The game shifted.
So
that's what they had to bring in. They had to bring in JaVale. They had to try to bring in a tall, fast guy that could get some lobs because they basically didn't have a center.
We don't have a center,
Right.
and we don't have LeBron because like LeBron's a center killer. Like when it comes down to like the one thing you talk all the junk you want to about LeBron, I don't care what big man you have up there, LeBron James is gonna yam on him. Can't no center stop LeBron James.
Right.
These centers can stop Kevin Durant because he's skinny. They
Right.
can stop Dame Lillard, but they couldn't stop LeBron. Like that's another thing. If we had LeBron, this game would have been different.
Oh yeah, I mean Steph Curry. There's some players that aren't on that team that it's not that the United States doesn't have good basketball players. Is that they're not all at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And those players that we do have, great players, they just don't play together enough to have a great team. They got a bunch of great individual athletes, which would be great in a one-on-one situation, maybe even great on a 3-on-3, which is an Olympic question. Mm-hmm. But on a 5-on-5 full court, running up and down, spacing the floor, all the things that matter about getting buckets, I don't know that the NBA players are going to have enough cohesion quick enough to pull that off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you checked out that 3-on-3?
Nah, I checked it out, yeah, but I mean, I like it. A lot of people don't like the 3-on-3. I think it's a dope game. I think it's a dope because what it is like once you make the shot, you get the ball. It just keeps going. It's a fast pace. It's like soccer almost. It's going back and forth.
Right.
So you don't have the inbound, but I like it. I just haven't seen Team USA, so I'm not sure who's on the 3-on-3 team for USA.
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
I would love to see a co-ed basketball event. I would love to see like a boy and girl, like you know, combine the NBA, WNBA players and have a co-ed game.
Man, I
think that would be fire. Like a 2-on-2 boy and girl.
Oh, yeah, like a 2-on-2. Yes. I was like a 5-on-5.
Nah. That wouldn't work with 5-on-5.
Nah, that would not work.
But clearly, you could definitely do. Like I think if instead of doing the 3-on-3, they should have did like a 2-on-2.
Like doing
Sue
tennis,
Bird,
like a mixed up.
Like give me Sue Bird and Kevin Durant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And let me see them two work it.
Right.
Like I would love to see that, but. Honestly, I'm like to the point
Candace Parker and LeBron James would be a problem.
I'm so excited for 24. Yeah, Candace Parker and LeBron James will be a problem. Like that would be a good all-star game event. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited about 2024 because I can't wait to see the breakdancing events.
Wait,
they're adding breakdancing to it's Olympics. Like you know now they got skateboarding as an Olympic sport, and I ain't gonna lie, that skateboarding joint is fire.
Yeah, I watched some of that.
Skateboard. I'm like, yo, skateboard. The skateboarding event is probably my favorite one right now because Team USA is sucking turds right now. But outside,
breakdance is coming back.
Yeah,
I'm about to have to put on my Africa Bambaataa and get the cardboard back out.
Yeah, so y'all keep it locked, man. It's Monday morning. We got some jams for you. You know what to do. Yo, and we're back. That was two of America's Most Wanted by Tupac. Yo, so B, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Why is it me or do you see a higher amount of white women in basketball, but a lower amount of white men in basketball? What do you think can contribute to that? Because think about it, like everybody basically, as far as the races, have equal access to trying out for a basketball team, going to basketball camps, going to college and all that other stuff. Yeah. AAU and all that stuff. However, once it gets to the collegiate and the professional level, you start seeing a drop-off with white men athletes, but you don't see that same drop-off with white women athletes. When it comes to basketball. I mean, other sports, of course, they pretty much stay pretty much even. But there's a huge discrepancy. Like, think about it, like the only white American basketball players I can actually think of right now are JJ Redick and Caruso.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of like white male players, white players in the NBA, American white players that have made a real resurgence. Like, what's his name? Duncan Robinson. Where they got Tyler Hero. I mean, there's a bunch of dudes
I thought Tyler Hero was Hispanic.
Well, I mean, he might be. I mean, I would say this visually. He might be. he might be. That might be.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about Tyler Hero to definitely have a. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know when we were growing up, basically, if you saw what looked like a white player in the NBA, they were from Europe. There was very few people who from Pennsylvania and went to Villanova. It was in the NBA.
Right.
But now you're starting to see a real resurgence of that. But in the WNBA is almost not the complete opposite, but close to it.
Yeah, think about it. Like when you think about some of the greatest players in the WNBA, you're thinking about all kinds of races, not just black. But when I name my top 10 players in the NBA, they're all black.
Yeah, for real. Would Larry Bird make your top 20?
No.
Yeah, me either.
Like Larry Bird, and this is the thing. Larry Bird, I cannot say was a bad player. I cannot say he wasn't a good player.
Right.
I don't think Larry Bird, like let's put it like this. Larry Bird doesn't have the athleticism to play basketball at an elite level. Now, at the time, like Michael Jordan said this in The Last Dance, they would go to halftime and cats would be in there smoking cigarettes at halftime.
Right.
That was the league Larry Bird also played in, right? That was also the league that Michael Jordan couldn't win in. So I don't know, there's two things, right? That kind of blows me away when you think about it.
Right.
Michael Jordan couldn't beat a bunch of dudes that smoked cigarettes at halftime, and Larry Bird was dominating in the league where people were smoking cigarettes at halftime. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think, and then we saw Larry Bird. Larry Bird was not very athletic. Larry Bird was a great scorer.
Right.
But
Larry Bird was also on great teams.
Yes. But then you have to factor in certain things about the game at that point that is no longer a factor. My number one issue is illegal defense. Being able to switch off of your player, like you run a player through a screen, that player had to fight through that screen and continue to guard you, because if another player guarded you once you went through that screen, illegal defense, you turn the ball over.
Right.
So, it was a free throw shot, wasn't it? It was a free throw shot. If you switched on the screen, it was a free throw shot.
Free throw, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So now you telling me if Larry Bird went through a screen and like say Kevin Durant was guarding him, he goes to the screen, now Kyrie has to pick him up, right? Right. Kyrie will be able to pick him up and guard him. Another thing is like running the floor, vertical ability. Like I said, you can shoot, but like I think Larry Bird would be JJ Redick right now. Right. At best.
Well, I think he was. I was told the other day they were talking about when you step on the floor with Larry Bird. Apparently, he was like a lot bigger than you thought he was. Like
he's 6'9".
Yeah, he was a baller. But like the way I think about Larry Bird and his greatness over time is as a small forward. And I know that we're moving more towards positionless basketball. Right. But even as a small forward in his position, he was like, is he a top 5 small forward of all time?
All right, so you think about, like, is he better than Pippen? Yeah. Is he better than LeBron? No. You don't think he's better than Pippen?
Oh, no, I'm with you.
Oh, okay. Is he better than LeBron? No. Is he better than KD? No.
Absolutely not.
I'm trying to think.
Kawhi Leonard?
Kawhi, no. Paul George, even though he's a 2 guard, he's really a 3.
Paul Pierce?
Mm-mm.
But now we're starting to get a little equal. That's where he is.
About Paul Pierce level. I would say he's about Paul Pierce level.
Carmelo Anthony in that same level. That same conversation.
All right. Denver Nuggets Melo, yes. Buckets. New York Knicks Nuggets.
Still buckets.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like this. I would say this. Carmelo Anthony has the most potential of any NBA player I've ever seen.
Right.
But it was a lot of wasted potential. Like, I would actually have to put Bird over Melo.
But they're still in that same space in the conversation. Yeah. So then take that conversation back for small forwards back over the history of the entire game of basketball.
Is Paul Pierce a top 10 player? Is Melo a top 10 player? No.
All time. Are they top 20? No.
But see, the thing is,
Bird.
I saw a TikTok, and this person put Bill Russell in his top 10 of all time. And I'm sorry, I cannot co-sign that message. I do not think Bill Russell would not be in my top 20.
See, Bill Russell's
11 champ. He won 11 He led his team to 11 championships. Player, coach, and all that was great. But it's like, to me, it's like the Babe Ruth comparison. Babe Ruth never played against black guys. The fastest absolute rocket fastball in his period was like 83 miles an hour.
Right.
Like they're talking about Babe Ruth, and I'm a big dude. Babe Ruth was an old fat dude that drunk a lot. There is no way he would even get a foul tip in today's MLB. Right. They didn't have sliders back then. You know what I mean? Right. That was a fastball, curveball, changeup. That was it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, he didn't dominate. He never had to play. He never had to hit off of Pedro Martinez or Randy Johnson.
I do believe in respecting a person's comparison to their time. So you know what I mean? Like, so Bill Russell did what he was asked to do at the highest level at that time.
But his highest level was 5'9" Jewish dudes.
I mean, but he was also going hard. But some of those championships were against Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, he had 2 at the end of his career.
Right, he had some.
His last 2, he built Wilt,
and so he was known as a strong dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he beat Wilt Chamberlain. However, Wilt Chamberlain was on a worse team than he was.
Going back to that team thing.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, Wilt Chamberlain scored, like, even when you go to Wilt Chamberlain's era, Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in one game. Got 55 rebounds in one game. You know why Wilt Chamberlain scored 55 points in that game? 100 points in that game, 55 rebounds?
What's that?
Because he was 7 feet tall, and the person that was guarding him was 6'3".
I mean, that's a scoring paradox, right? Like, if a player scores 70 points in a basketball game and your goal is to get, say, 120 points, then that means that your entire team was only producing 50 points.
Well,
50 other points.
It's not that, because it's also about shot creation.
Right.
So like for example, I might be able to take a shot and have a decent chance of making it, but if there's a better shot on the floor, you're supposed to pass to that guy.
That's what I'm saying. And that goes back to if a player's getting 70 points, then that means there's not enough other options to score.
Right.
That's actually not good.
No, it's not.
Like
when Kobe dropped 81 in Toronto, he had no one to give the ball to.
Right.
But yeah, so I really think that like when you say all time, like for example, I choose to use the term GOAT means greatest of a time versus greatest of all time.
That's good. That's real good. Yeah.
Right. So that way, Bill Russell, you can classify him as a GOAT because he's the greatest of a time.
Right. And
you can classify MJ as a GOAT because he was the greatest of a time.
Dude, that's a good way to say what I was trying to say. Yes.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, when you merge all of those eras together, you got to look at the stronger eras. And unfortunately, basketball is a game that grows over time.
That's
you know what I'm saying? That updates. So a player that dominated back in the 60s is not supposed to dominate now.
Right.
Like Magic Johnson played basketball 30 years ago. If he is still considered the greatest player of all time, then everybody that came after him failed.
Right. It's like everything in life. You want, like,
if Jordan played basketball 20 years ago, how dare you call him the greatest of all time right now? Like, there's somebody that had, like, the game evolved.
Dude, I always think of that same thing when, like, even in society, when people talk about, well, blah, 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 we're not going to go back and try to say that in history such and such was a bad person. Yeah, they were a bad person. And in the future, they hopefully will look at me and say I was a bad person, because hopefully they're going to be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Right, we supposed to, like, if not, we failed ourselves if basketball is not getting better.
Yeah.
Nutrition, exercise, like you said, people were drinking beer before games.
Smoking cigarettes at halftime.
Right. Just cutting that out alone should make you a better basketball player.
Let me tell you, they were acting like we were at the park. You know, you know what I mean? Like, and that was the thing. Like you said, cutting that out. Just cutting that out. Nutrition, like you said.
Yep.
Sleep studies they do.
Yep.
They don't have to ride buses to games. All these different things, just these small little tweaks. Look at the sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the shoes themselves. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. Like, Michael Jordan was great, but like I remember someone said Michael Jordan would get 50 points. He would average 50 points a game in this league, and there is no way. There is no way. Look, number one, MJ is good. MJ is probably the greatest two guard I've ever seen play basketball. But I didn't even think Michael Jordan was the greatest player of his time.
There was a lot of other, like the one that everybody sleeps on, that everyone forgets about now because they see him on TV and they forget about it. Charles Barkley was amazing at basketball.
Yeah, but he wasn't Michael Jordan.
No. During his time, though, he was on a level. Like, you hear NBA players from that time talk about what Charles was in that period when he was coming from Philly to the Suns.
Uh-huh. Oh, Charles Barkley was a beast.
A full beast.
But Michael Jordan would have put him on a poster. He would put him on a T-shirt. Michael Jordan.
Mike always had player. It's always a team sport, though.
True. But there was only one player there was only one player pre-Michael Jordan that I would say was better than Michael Jordan, and there are
a million.
3 players now that I would say are better than Michael Jordan now.
Better.
There was one before, that was Magic Johnson. I thought Magic was always a better player than Michael.
Okay.
team success. I mean, you got to understand, Magic Johnson dominated an entire decade. He was like LeBron James before LeBron James.
Played all 5 positions, literally.
Played all 5. He was a positionless player.
Right.
He made it to 9. I'm sorry. He played a 12-year career, was in the finals 9 of those 12 years, and won 5 of those 9 finals.
Right.
That's legendary. Like
right.
Michael played 16 years.
Then turn around and beat HIV just to stun on him.
Yeah, and then beat HIV's ass. Whereas Michael Jordan played like 16 years, made it to the final 6 of those 16. So he had 10 losing seasons. Magic Johnson had 3.
Right, and then we want to forget
That's
about
just
this.
one.
Like, go back and look at. I don't know how everyone looked at The Last Dance and came out not seeing this is a team sport. Michael Jordan in the very beginning was a great basketball player,
but was getting drugged.
He was getting drugged because he didn't have good teams. Then Pip showed up. Then they started putting together some teams.
Right. Paxson, and then the thing, like, I mean, I'm not gonna try to take anything away from Jordan, but like right now, like when I think honestly, if I was picking basketball players and I had a chance to pick Kevin Durant, I would pick him over Jordan. I would pick LeBron James over Jordan. I would pick Giannis Antetokounmpo over Jordan. Giannis is the future of what NBA basketball is going to, like that type of position. Like when you can be 6'9", and dominate the way
play face in the basket.
Because the thing is, the thing is, and what people don't understand is when you have that type of size, it allows you to contribute to the game in so many factors. Like for example, you're gonna be one of the first ones back because you're playing, a front court position. So you're gonna be one of the first ones back on defense. Now, when you're the first one back on defense, being 6'9" helps you contest a shot a lot easier than when you're 6'6". Things along those lines. Like Michael Jordan, great scorer, great defender. But at the same time, they had the hand check rule. They have a hand check rule now. They have the hand check rule now. There's so many different things that Michael Jordan would actually struggle with in today's NBA.
Right. Players, people fit in their time. People get in where they fit in. So sometimes you look at someone and say that person was great. They were, what Picasso said, I'm not an artist, I'm just a man that understood his time. People sometimes reach a level of greatness because they understand their time.
Yeah.
They know Jordan knew how to get in where he fit in. That doesn't necessarily mean he can fit in anywhere throughout all of human history.
Right.
We might go through a period of basketball evolution where everybody's built like sumo players. This is what the game was at the time.
Right. Yeah.
They don't. Right.
Oh, Joe had a great a great argument. He said one problem to both of my arguments is that both Barkley and Magic acknowledged Jordan was a better player. And that was them being polite. That was them being I think that was more or less them being polite because I can also say this. Both Magic and Barkley beat Jordan and knocked them out of the playoffs. The Sixers, when they had Barkley when he was, I think, young, knocked Jordan out of the playoffs. And when they went on to win the championship. And then Magic, up until 91, used to just straight drag Jordan.
Right.
So like I think Jordan's prime happened when there wasn't nobody really to compare him to. Jordan, it was kind of like I compared Jordan to like Spider-Man of the Avengers.
Okay.
Like for example, the Avengers, they came out in 2012, right? And it was like Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, all that. They added Spider-Man in like 2017. And then so once they added Spider-Man, and now all the Avengers are starting to get old, starting to retire. Tony Stark died, Thor went on. So now Spider-Man is clearly the greatest superhero that's active right now because he was there with the greats, learned from the greats, they retired, and they left him by himself. And there was no one in the 90s that could even come close to Jordan because all the ones that actually could have, that were beating Jordan, all retired. Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boy Pistons, the whole roster.
Oh, man, so slept on. Slept on.
Like even the Blazers. The Blazers were going to the finals in the 80s. I think the one time the Lakers didn't go to the finals, the Blazers went. So like Jordan didn't beat them at their best. Jordan beat everybody at their worst. And then there was that transitional phase, which Jordan dominated. But and everybody was, who was Jordan playing? He had some great players that came out. He had Ewing, who to me is not a top 20 player. I can't think of one top 20 player that Jordan played against.
I mean, Hakeem Olajuwon.
He didn't play against him. He played against him, but he didn't win against him.
He definitely played against the people. I think Jordan's greatest Shout out to Ron and Champ. That Len Bias point is Len Bias would have been a beast. That is a heck of a woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yo, let me tell you. Let's talk about that, man.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Let me tell you something. If Len Bias would not have took that cocaine, right? If he would have never died, and he would have went to the NBA, Magic who? Like because you telling me that this dude was gonna be on the Celtics, bruh.
Right.
Like it wasn't like he was going to the Bulls.
The Celtics was just slumping
to the Celtics
and they
with
were
Bird,
slump.
McHale, Parrish. You gonna add Len Bias to that? You really gonna add Len Bias? No, they were gonna be the first 82-0 team. No one was going to beat that squad.
I think my point about Jordan is Jordan's brilliance is his relationship with Nike. Because you look at, I mean, we're not even in this conversation mentioning Dr. J. And when Jordan came in the league, Dr. J was a name as far as marquee player that everybody was talking about.
When Jordan was in the league, it was Magic Johnson.
Oh, no, I'm talking when he first came in the league.
Magic Johnson.
They were talking about Jordan's going to be the next Anyway, to my point. The point that I'm making is players have their time moves on, we forget those players.
Right.
Michael Jordan has a relationship with a shoe company that's kept his name out there.
Relevant.
Kept his name relevant. No one's wearing Dr. J's. No one was wearing Magic Johnsons, and so their time moved on with them. Or
I
they
just checked
on.
my feet to make sure I ain't had no Jordans on right now.
Am I wearing Shaqs right now?
Am I wearing some J's? Because I keep some J's on my feet.
And you just forget about them. Time moves on.
Yeah.
And that's why you hear like LeBron James talking about he's trying to get himself a brand going. He wanted to sign Luka to his brand. Luka didn't do it. But he's trying to do that same thing, trying to build that, because that's kept Jordan's name out there. So that's what we're still having conversations about him.
I'm gonna tell you like this. You're right.
We should have forgotten about him.
It's like if we didn't if Jordan wasn't the premier basketball shoe, I don't know. But this is the thing that I've always heard, and I always felt like it was real, is that when legend becomes fact, they print the legend. What I mean by that is that everybody has these ideal dreams and these fantasies of how good Michael Jordan was. I remember watching him play, and I remember him being good, but I also remember the teams being really bad.
I mean,
like remember when we was talking about how we're having to the white players in the NBA? Michael Jordan killed them all. Cause back in the day, because the thing was, I remember when Dan Marley tried to hold Mike. Like that was the thing. Like I don't remember seeing Michael Jordan really kill anybody. Like it was Mark Price, Dan Marley. I think the best he went up against was Reggie Miller, and Reggie Miller gave him hell.
Oh, now I remember.
As far as his position,
I'm not gonna front on Jordan. I remember, like in my childhood, Jordan was an absolute beast.
I remember him being good, but I remember him being better than a lot of terrible players.
But for some reason, people forget, and this happens in every finals game. A team wins one game, people acting like the other teams can't play basketball anymore. Go and look back at these. I mean, basketball games are close. It's not like Jordan happens to pull out a 7. Oh, he didn't have to go to a lot of 7-game series. But anyway, you know what I mean?
Never won 7. I think he always went 6.
Right.
Never went 7.
Which that means those other teams push them to the limit. You know,
but who's going to push him to the limit? When you have players like I said, when you have
Clyde Drexler was
like for example, this is no joke. The team that played against, like we always talk about how basketball is a team sport. The Utah Jazz had Stockton, Hornacek, Russell, Karl Malone, and I don't even remember who the white dude was.
John Stockton.
No, the center. Oskov or something like that. I can't remember. It was like I can't remember his name.
Had a box cut.
Yeah. Like that was their squad. It wasn't a great team that they were playing against. They had Karl Malone and John Stockton. Hornacek was a bum. You know what I'm saying? Russell was in that was untalked about.
I'm gonna disagree with you on
All right, please do.
Right, and I'm just saying I don't want to give Jordan that much credit in saying that those guys were bums. They were good. They were great basketball players at the time.
They were NBA basketball players.
That's what I'm saying. That's just what the game was at the time.
But compared to Jordan, they were bums.
Compared to now, everybody's a bum. The entire NBA was horrible back then,
including Jordan.
Right. So to that point, but the greater point being,
so
how can you
be the greatest of all time if you're not the greatest now?
No, I'm agreeing with your point, which is that they're the greatest of a time.
A time.
And time moves on.
And time, including Michael Jordan.
Right.
Let him go. Let the fact like he was a great player in the 90s. When the whole NBA was different.
Ostertag, yeah. Greg Ostertag, yeah.
Thank you, T. Thanks, yeah. They had Ostertag.
Yeah.
Like that's who they played against. Like that was 98 and 97.
But at the same time, Jordan's team had they were always pretty weak at center. Bill Cartwright, Luke Longley, they weren't ever, you know what I'm saying? But it's every team has some weaknesses.
Will Purdue. Remember Will Purdue?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but what I'm saying though is like the Utah Jazz, man, like I'm surprised they beat. I'm gonna tell you what killed me. You know who the Utah Jazz beat to get to the Bulls those 2 years? They beat Shaq and the Lakers. Then they beat Hakeem, Charles Barkley, and Clyde Drexler's Rockets. To me, the first super team that we never talk about. Because I remember when the Rockets but they were old though.
Yeah, they were old.
They were old.
They put together some names.
But there were some names.
Yeah.
And they didn't even get because like the thing was, and this is why I always believe, I don't think Jordan would have beat the Houston Rockets when they won those 2 championships. I don't think the Bulls could have stopped them.
Quiet as kept, I would be willing to at least hear the argument that the Bulls put together. Or you know what? The Lakers had a super team back in the day. You gonna tell me James Worthy, Magic Johnson, like these are super teams.
But see,
the Celtics had a super team,
or an organic super team,
right? Exactly,
and one that you put together with superstars. Like for example, if you draft players and they organically build to become a super team,
Golden State situation,
that's a team,
right?
But if you go out and you get, let me get LeBron, let me go ahead and get Bosh, let me get Wade. Put them together. That's a super team. Yeah. Or let me go get Garnett. Let me go get Paul Pierce is already here. Let me go get Ray Allen. That's a super team.
But back to the point, the game's evolved to the point that there's more player options. There's more. There's
player control.
Right. There's more exactly, and there's more good players. Back then, it was the age of duos. Like literally, it was Jordan. The Bulls put together a super team. They had Jordan. They had Pip. Tried and true, already won 3 championships. Then they said, who else has got championship pedigree? Oh, Dennis Rodman, let's bring him in. Who else got championship? So they started to pull together. Ron Harper got somebody good at the point. Oh, who's the Michael Jordan of the year? Bring in Tony Kukoc. You can't say that's not a super team.
No, it's not.
No, I'm saying off top, they built that knowing it was a super team.
Yeah.
All-time, one of the all-time greatest rebounders, and the guy who was at the time trending up to the point they would call him the Michael Jordan of the year.
But see, the thing is, and you had Dennis Rodman, who was a team. Dennis Rodman was a player nobody wanted. Nobody wanted Dennis Rodman when he came to the Bulls. Nobody wanted the headache. Nobody wanted Dennis Rodman when he came to the Bulls. I'm not saying he wasn't a good player, but Dennis Rodman wasn't even a scorer. Dennis Rodman was 100%. I say 99% defense, 1% offense. He had a decent layup. He could dunk because he was tall, but he was all defense and rebounds. Pippen was already like he was drafted. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like they were going out. They went out. They got Kukoc, and they went out. And they basically went and got Rodman in the last three years. I wouldn't say the Bulls created a super team. If I had to talk about super teams, I would say I would start with the Rockets. To me, was my first time seeing a super team get built. When they just go out and grab a whole bunch of names and put them on the team together. That was the Rockets in the mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then I would go to the Celtics. I remember they built the Lakers. The Lakers when they had Malone, Peyton. They didn't win a championship, but it was a super team. But when they had like Malone, Peyton, and all them, that was a super team.
Keeping in mind, Worthy, Byron Scott, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
All right. So here we go with this one. That Lakers team. Oh wait, let's get.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was MC8, straight up menace. I just want to thank y'all for tuning in. It's HL in the AM on Oak 93.5 WRLY Raleigh, the hottest radio show in the Triangle. I just want to shout out some people who's listening. In our mixed cloud, we got Latoya. We got Teron, what's up, bro?
What's
up? Got Tanya. We got Joe. We got Aisha. We got John Champion. Let's see.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. That's about it. Oh, and Joe from Fayetteville and Jessica. What's up? Thanks for listening. You know how we do it. So I just read this heartbreaking news story, man.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, 4 men have been arrested Sunday following a drive-by shooting that killed a 13-year-old girl, North Carolina girl. She was struck by a bullet as she sat out at an outdoor picnic table with other children. The child, whose name was not immediately released, was shot around 8 p.m. on Saturday in the Charlotte suburb of Monroe, a town of about 36,000 people, according to police. Monroe police announced the arrest of Javon DeMontre Robinson, 20 of Monroe, who was booked into the Union County Jail on one count of first-degree murder on Sunday afternoon. By Sunday night, police arrested 3 other men in connection to the girl's death. Darius Rowland, 19, Jamarius McClain, and Jamarius Crowder, 22, have now been taken into jail and are being held for first-degree murder with no bond. That's what officials are saying. Man, this is sad for so many reasons. Number one, there's a 13-year-old girl that's dead. And there's a mom and a family that's broken. But then on the other side of that, there are 4 young black men whose lives are over. You know what I'm saying? It goes full circle. So these are, I don't know how many people. You got the moms of the boys, you know what I'm saying? They feel responsible, they feel bad. You got the mother of the little girl that was killed. You have the parents of the other children that were out there the people who saw the little girl get, there were other kids out there that saw another kid get killed.
Man, that's traumatic.
Yeah. So like all these lives are ruined. And guess what? The biggest problem with all this, the person that were trying to actually do damage didn't catch nothing. And I'm sorry, but you really messed up. You got 4 dudes with pulling up in the edge. If 4 dudes are pulling up on you in a Ford Escape, shooting at you, you messed up. However, he never will face any repercussions for whatever it was that he did. So somebody had a praying grandma. But at the end of the day, it's such a sad thing. Because like me, I'm more or less like Black Lives Matter to me. All Black Lives Matter. That's not right. The ones that get killed by cops. So we got to do something, man. Why? The thing is, they said men, which by definition are real, but come on, man. I'm a grown man. I'm 38 years old. These are kids.
Young man, yeah.
These are kids. These are 20-year-old kids.
Yeah, man.
19-year-old kid.
Man, I heard some other day that was the realest thing I'd heard in a long time. Some perspective on situations like this. It's like, man, when situations like that happen, people sit down and look at their paperwork, because that's gonna happen. Because once you get into the system, they'll give you some paperwork, and you look at the paperwork. They're gonna say at such and such time, such and such person did such and such thing between such and such period. So like these dudes pulled up on that escape at say not whatever time it was, say 9 o'clock, started shooting, and it was a whole incident was over.
Freestyle. I'm sorry, not
usually 2-3 minutes, right? 2 to 3 minutes is gonna cost someone 30 to 45 years,
if not longer. No. The thing is, 2 or 3 minutes cost a little girl, I don't know, 80 years.
A whole human life.
Yeah, a whole life.
A whole human life that's going to affect a chain of other human lives based on some decision making is everything. And man, if we can, that's everything they talk about with making good children, having children, giving children the ability to do well, is the ability to delay gratification and be resilient. That is, if somebody can look at you, and a child needs to be able to look at a situation and say, this ain't worth it. We got to be able to make some better decisions.
Yeah, and that's what.
And I'm not trying to grandpa it, but you know what I mean?
But real talk though, and this is what really bothers me. You tell me there was an SUV full of 4 people, and not one of those 4 dudes could have been like, yo, we shouldn't be doing this. Not one out of 4.
And there's so many steps in this. Like someone was like, hey, we should do this.
You got to get the keys. Like, all right, so when you're about to commit a murder, that's why they're being charged with first degree. Even though it was an innocent life, I don't care. First degree it all day. But at the same time, what is them being locked up going to accomplish? Because they still, to me, and all this, somebody owes this woman, the mother of this daughter, someone owes her a daughter. So what are you gonna do about that? How do you restitute that
hole can't be filled?
Right. So, but locking them up ain't gonna fill that hole. But they do need to be punished. I say give all 4 of them to the custody of the woman who lost her baby. That's the jail they should be in.
Man, that is a bad situation. 10 ways to Tuesday. There ain't nothing good about it.
But the thing is, though, like I was saying though, so you got your keys, you grabbed your wallet, probably grabbed the blunt. You went and probably picked up your homies, you know what I mean? All to go do this dumb stuff. And out of all that, no one had the foresight to be like, yo, man, let me out. Like nobody pulled a tray from Boys in the Hood.
Just crossing bridges. I forgot who
Drove
said,
all the way down.
I forgot who said it, but it's a quote like, man's conscience is the oracle of God. Like, he's going to talk to you. He's going to say, hey, this might not be a good idea.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
And you still do it.
Still do it.
Like, and people don't understand that. Like, I literally believe that's I don't know. I always call it my Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that person that person that's in you. That like every time they're never wrong.
Right.
Never wrong. That's the thing. That's what got me. Like by the time I hit about 22, 23, I'm like, this voice is never wrong. It has never told me anything wrong yet.
Yep.
As dumb as I am, that inner voice is smart. Because like I remember it was like, yo, I remember one time I remember this girl trying to set me up, and like everything started. I was like, yo, don't go. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's just like that inner voice, that inner conscience is always looking out for you, and we need to start listening to that inner voice. You can call it your conscience, you can call it your Holy Spirit, you can call it the voice of God, whatever it is to you. Listen to it. If it tells you to dump that dude because he ain't nothing, then dump that dude because he ain't nothing. It might suck, but all that I don't want to do. That inner voice, man.
Man, some of the realest advice I ever got. I remember this old dude told me once, when I was even younger. He said, if anybody tells you anything that they wouldn't tell their child, that person is not your friend.
Right.
So nobody would tell their child, they go, I mean, some people would, but those, the average person, the average reasonable, rational person wouldn't tell their child to go get a gun, hop into a car, and go shoot up a Ford Escape.
Right. I mean, the only people I can think of is James St. Patrick, James St. Patrick, and Kane's mama on Power Book 3.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's about it. Tasha probably tell you to go get. But I mean, that's TV. That's fiction.
Right. Anybody that's telling you let's go and do something that crazy, that's why when we get in these situations, we always look back, or people get in situations and look back and say, something told me not to. Yeah, something told you.
Yeah, exactly. Something told you. It was God. He was saying, don't do it. But like, we literally need to start listening to that voice, bro. Because like this right here is a tragedy. And I don't know the little girl's name, man, but like my prayers are with the family, cause but this right here should never happen. This is something that should never happen. Never. There is no excuse for a group of a bunch of stinking, rusty ass Negroes to go shoot up a park, cause they were at a park. You knew that there were going to be kids out there at that park when you rolled up there, when you decided to drive to it.
Man, what we gonna do about this world?
Man, there ain't nothing we can do about it. That's the sad reality is there's nothing we can do about it but talk about it. That's it. We can march, we can talk, but the thing is, there are always gonna be dumb kids. I guess the only thing that we can really do is stop reproducing.
Well, and create and always create more opportunity. Try to raise all ships socio-economically. You know what I mean? Because
stop glamorizing the gangster lifestyle.
That's right.
And here I am playing gangster rap.
I'm thinking about that right now. Like, man,
I just play straight up menace.
But I do like my gangster stuff.
I knew, but I have, and like many of our listeners, we have the ability, the mental fortitude to listen to it as entertainment and not, oh, this is how I should live my life. If you're trying to live your life like MC8,
right?
Really, that's what we're gonna do now.
MC8 and MC8, that's how you like. If a person's really living that life, this whole thing is built to put you in jail. Yeah. Like if
hip hop was designed, gangster rap from the very foundation of it was designed to create a culture that people will emulate so they can put their freedom at risk and become part of the prison industrial complex. That was the very purpose of NWA Straight Outta Compton.
Celebration begets imitation.
Yeah.
If somebody's being celebrated, say, "Oh, that's what people are into," then that's what I want to do. I want to do what the people enjoy.
Yeah, because I remember, and the sad part is, I remember being a kid, and I remember watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, right? And he was talking about NWA and how it was toxic and poisonous to the youth, and that please stop listening to it. Fast forward 30 years, 35 years, and daggone if he won't right. We should have never listened to NWA. Like, because it got, and I'm like, I'm gonna tell you like this, the whole culture, everything that was key to our culture, the Boys in the Hood, the Menace to Societies, the gangster rap thing, all of that, they were like, guess what? If we do this, they're gonna react this way. Because of, and you know how it all started? The appreciation of the movie Scarface. The following that the movie Scarface got, who I honestly believe is a terrible movie. I've seen Scarface so many times, and it just gets worse and worse every time.
I absolutely agree with you.
Who gets away with killing a dude and moving into his house?
I know
it's beyond me.
I know this isn't good radio, but I absolutely agree with you. That is not a good movie.
It's not a good movie.
And everybody who's even into that movie, the person that they should like isn't even the right person.
Right, Tony Montana.
Right,
man. Yo, and so beyond that though, so what happened was Scarface came out. It blew up like no one ever imagined, right? Mm-hmm. And it blew up in a totally different community than they expected it to. They expected it to be a hit for white people, but yet it was the black people who started loving it. So once we watched Scarface and loved Scarface and started glamorizing that lifestyle, executives had a meeting with rappers in the meeting, and their plan was laid out. This is how we can destroy the black community.
Money is like water. It's gonna go where there's an opening. So when people showed there was an appetite for it, money started going that direction. Yeah. And
but it wasn't just a money grab though. Yeah. This was a destruction play.
Oh, you said it was purposeful.
Yeah, it was like no, there was a whole article. I'm gonna find it as soon as we go to the next music break. But there was a whole article outlining it. Basically, what happened? This was in like 1988, 1989. There was a meeting with a bunch of different label execs, right? And they were talking about how they could use rap music to feed to fuel the prison industrial complex. We talk about it, we do it, we show it, and that's why
it normalizes it.
Yeah, it normalized it to the point where it was so accepted. See, the thing was, for some reason, because of our impoverished state at the time, as far as the bulk of black people at the time were living below the poverty line, right, in urban areas. Don't get me wrong, you had your Cosbys, you know what I mean? There was always some black excellence, but for the most part, we were living below the poverty line on average, right? All right, so at that time they were like, okay, poor people love crime, not because not because we love crime. This I'm not saying this is what I believe. This is what was said.
Gotcha.
All right, poor people love crime. Poor people love criminal activity, right? So they started boosting out hip hop music because like before it was the Kid and Plays and the De La Souls and the Big Daddy came on really talking about killing like that. Even Rakim was pretty much, you know, a rapper, but not too gangster with it.
And even when they're like, that's why they call it the golden age. Even when there was one perspective, there were other perspectives.
Right. Then it got straight gangster rap. It started with NWA. They were the first ones to push it out. And what happened when gangster rap took place, along with the crack epidemic, crime went through the roof. Because here's poor people finding a way to become rich people. And all they got to do to become rich people is kill other poor people.
There's a great documentary on Netflix right now called Crack.
Yeah,
it's 5 parts. They did a good job.
Yeah, that was a great job.
The only and not even to get on some soapbox, but because Lord knows there's a dichotomy in me. There's a dichotomy in me that enjoys some of the same things that I would criticize. But
I enjoy it for entertainment value. But
for sure,
it's like
but our culture is the only culture that I can think of in the world that their primary form of entertainment glorifies things that are destructive to that culture.
Yeah.
There's not a bunch of people in China that are listening to music about the triad.
No.
I mean, it exists.
But they are listening to music about us killing each other.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Everyone else is entertained by our demise.
Yeah.
Including us.
Right. And the thing is, it's like for example, when Beavis and Butthead started having little white kids burning down their houses and setting their little baby brothers on fire and stuff, they took it off the air immediately.
And it's not that people don't talk about the struggle, because whether it be blues or
we talk about the struggle.
The primary music, it begins with the F. I forgot what it's called, but is in Portugal. Right. It's a style of music that is their version of the blues. country music, early mountain music, all that is people talk about the struggle.
You know what?
So the idea of it being the conversation about the struggle, no, it's a glorification of the worst side of dealing with the struggle.
Right, and the thing is, and the thing is, like, it's funny because you know why, like, you really don't see white people with high-end fashion and stuff like that? Because their music doesn't dictate or always reference high fashion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing is, like, when you have, how many songs do you think there are right now about Gucci and gold?
Oh, right, yeah. Sort of materialism.
Yeah, we push that materialism out there. That's why, like, when we went to high school, it had to be a fashion show. We were all listening to all this music that made you feel like, in order to, and then we set these rules of, if you're black, you do this. If you're black, you do that.
Which brings me to my next point. Boney, have you extended your car warranty?
No.
Okay. So.
Yeah, well, no, I am not, and I'm not going to. Nah, but it's this whole thing, it's or blob that's designed to take us out. And we need to wake up and just be like, yo, look, it's cool to listen to, but at the end of the day, it's the reason why you don't let your kids watch Menace to Society at 7 years old.
You need to be able to rightly divide the information.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't let kids, because like I said, if they would have did what they did to gangster rap and gangster movies, like they did to Beavis and Butthead, this probably would not have happened.
I forgot who said it. I forgot what quote this is, but someone said, they do what they do to us because we let them.
We let them.
If you pumped out a whole bunch of stuff about, you can't have literally you've seen people try to do it. You can't have a conversation in this country about some other groups and violence. January 6th, the year 1861 to 1865, you cannot like, hey, y'all did this crazy thing with some guns. Nope, we ain't gonna talk about it. We got a whole thing right now going on in the schools. We're like, hey, y'all remember that crazy thing y'all did for 4 years with guns in the 1860s? Nope, did not happen. Can't talk about it. And we'll pump it out on every radio station. And oh boy, man, we got the soapbox.
No, I'm curious. Keep going.
Yeah,
I'm curious on this.
We'll pump that out on every streaming network platform, glorified to the point that, like, for me, my personal gripe was literally the rapper Rick Ross.
All right. Well, so what's your personal gripe with Rick Ross?
Rick Ross was, like, when you talk about Scarface, I thought you were spot on. It became a caricature. Where you take Biggie was crack rap. So now you talk about somebody talking about the realities of a lifestyle. At some point, it transitioned from something that people were personally dealing with to this is just this swag, this lifestyle is just a path to the bag, as it were. So that's where you hear people talking about.
I'm listening.
Okay, this is where you hear people talking about everything starts out as a movement, then becomes a business, then becomes a racket.
Right.
Like, at one point, it might have been some people talking about, oh, this is the realities of our life, and it was a movement. It was a hip hop movement, and especially towards some sort of more grim realities of lower socioeconomic urban life.
Right.
After a while, it becomes, this ain't even my life, but this is how to make money. It's just a full-on racket. And so then you get, like, to me, Rick Ross is like Rick Ross. You know the real Noriega? Really? You know the real Noriega? Like, this first song, Every Day You're Hustling. Fantastic. I appreciate the hustle, but you know the real Noriega? Off top. Like, it's just, so at that point, it's just Scarface. It's just a person, and everyone was fine with it. Let's just glorify this thing that we know is not even real. We don't even want it to be real. We literally out here we're quote unquote making movies.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, and this is the funny thing was, though, it's like you said, at one point it went from being news to being how you should live your life.
Right.
And once it it stopped being the reported. Like, for example, for me right now, talking about this little girl getting killed, right, and how this life is inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like if I said that and everybody started, oh, you know what? We need to start riding on cats more. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it was. Like, when they came out with the music, if it was supposed to just be news, it would have been delivered a different way.
You ever see that show Eastbound and Down?
Yeah, love
Like,
one of that show.
It's like it's kind of like that. The funny thing about that show is every episode, Kenny goes through something stupid, but at the end of every episode, he has an epiphany, has a breakthrough moment.
And it was dumber than the.
But it's always the wrong decision. It's like, hey, your friend got beat up at school. We should all jump in this car and shoot this dude. No, wrong.
Wrong answer.
Wrong answer.
And that's what I think it's heartbreaking because, like, I don't think I have love for anything like I have love for black people.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So this right here make me want to just tear up a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's like it's gonna keep happening, and no one knows how to stop it.
We all know how to stop it, but is there an appetite to stop it?
Oh, wait, are you preaching today?
No, I mean literally everything that we said. We've literally said the answer, but is there an appetite to stop it? A part of the demon lives in us.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm being honest with myself. Yeah. I love some of the same things that I'm talking about.
I love gangster rap,
right?
But I hate what it's doing to the community. I hate what it has done to the community because it's not even. It's to the point now where it's like all the wheels are set in motion, and it's going, and that train's been going for like 30 years now.
Yep. So it's easy to me and sit here and point fingers about how the next man's messing up, but I push it myself.
But at the same time, this is the thing. You're able to appreciate it for the art form and not
Absolutely.
for the... And some people aren't.
Absolutely. I don't... just because I love Terminator 2, which I don't, but just me loving Terminator 2 doesn't mean I'm also about time traveling robots. It's just entertainment, y'all.
It's just entertainment. Like, I love Power Rangers, but you ain't never gonna see me wearing spandex doing backflips.
Right. That's ridiculous.
That's I don't know, Olympic sport. That's what it is. Y'all, I'm sorry. I could not be a gymnast, a male gymnast, and not go in there at one time and wear a Power Ranger uniform and just do a floor exercise with a Go-Go Power Rangers music playing in the background. That's how I would be an Olympic gymnast.
Who does backflips with a helmet? This is a horrible idea.
Hey, it protects your brain in case you slip. But nah, think about it. I promise you this. If I'm ever watching the Olympics, right, and I see a male gymnast go out there bad boy in like a Black Ranger uniform and a Black Ranger costume and kill it, he's one of my favorite gymnasts of all time.
Greatest of all time.
I will post it on Facebook 38 times a day. Like, hey, did y'all see this? Man, but we got some more jams for y'all. I'm going to lighten it up because we've been talking about gangster rap, so I'm not going to play no more gangster rap today.
And now DMX.
I'm not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll play some gangster rap tomorrow. We definitely go because, like, come on. We know not to go out there and kill people.
Right.
But for those who don't, I got some jams for y'all. Y'all keep it locked. We'll be back.